Today, we're going to cover the content of the sleep cycle stages. We're going to talk about neural and behavioral characteristics of the sleep cycle stages. We're also going to talk about theories of sleep and dreaming, sleep disorders, and I'm hopefully answer any review questions you may have. So let's get started. Sleep is a necessary body function. I know people say it's a myth, but no. If you do not sleep and you become sleep deprived, it is not a good thing for you mentally or physically. It's like you have to think of your body or your brain like the RAM in a computer. If you don't turn off your computer and let your computer shut down and process the information of the day, it'll overheat, correct? So your brain is much like that. And so sleep is a necessary body function so that your brain can get the rest and desire it needs for the day and be able to process everything the next day. Fortunately for us human beings, we run our sleep patterns on clocks. There are several different types of clocks that you're going to learn about in class, but the one particular clock we're going to talk about relates to the sleep cycle. And that's basically our 24-hour clock that we process through every day. Then we're going to talk about dreams and what a dream is. A dream is a surrealistic mental movie in which events frequently occur in jumbled up sequence. Most of our dreams make no sense. Some of our dreams are the common dreams that Freud talks about, like the chasing dream, like where something's chasing you every night, or the falling dream where you wake up and you hit your bed. The one that no one ever likes to admit that they have, the naked in public dream. Or even the teeth falling out. Now, me, myself, I've never had that dream, but I know quite a few of my students have talked about that dream. There's a bunch of different books, interpretation things that you can go and look up online and at the library, which I'll give you a few hints about how to do that later. But suffice it to say, today's content is about sleeping and dreaming and body clocks. Okay, so the main clock that our biological function runs under, it relates to the key term of circadian rhythm. You probably heard of the key term circadian rhythm. Probably the first time you saw circadian rhythm was in your vocab. It's a sequence of behavior that occurs every 24 hours. Now, I have a picture here of this flower. Does everybody see the flower? Can anybody tell me if you recognize the flower? What type of flower it is? Waiting to see if anybody knows. Okay. The flower is pretty important because it's a morning glory flower. If you didn't know what it was already, and the morning glory flower is really trippy because in the morning when the sun, at night they're closed like this, right? And then in the morning when the sun comes out, it starts to open slowly. By the middle of the day, it's very big and bright, right? And then as the sun is going down, guess what it starts to do? It starts to close again. That's its circadian rhythm. Now, every individual human being has their own circadian rhythm. And if any of your parents work swing shift, you would understand how their circadian rhythm is different from your circadian rhythm. Because obviously, if they work night shift, they do most of their sleeping during the day. Where because you go to school during the day, you do most of your sleep at night. So everybody's circadian rhythm is a little bit different. Hold on, I'm trying to get this to click again, and it's doing the same thing again. I hate this. Hold on just a second. I hate when this happens. Thank you. So in the circadian rhythm word comes actually from circa and dian, from the Greek word circa, and about a day. And like I said, the morning glory flower is the easiest explanation for a circadian rhythm. So if you see it pop up, and it has popped up on at least one FRQ in the last 10 years, so it's a good idea to remember it. And so when you think of the morning glory flower, think of circadian rhythm. And just like a flower, we have a peak time. Like, what is your peak time of the day? What is the time of the day that you feel the most active? And when does that peak time start to dwindle? And if you notice, depending on your own particular circadian rhythm, the morning you're still kind of drowsy and sleepy. About midday is when you're starting to peak. And then as you slowly peak, then you start to slowly fall as you're getting ready to go to sleep. Now, for different people, it can be affected by light and dark. The different people are affected by the light and the dark. I mean, think about living in Alaska, where sometimes it's nighttime and the sun's out and they have to have blackout curtains because they can't sleep. And that can affect a person's circadian rhythm. If you have traveled cross country, like for example, I live in California. Right now, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon in California. For most of you on the East Coast, it's after 7, midnight. So it throws, if you have to cross over the time zone and you fly over, it takes time to adjust. And your body takes time. Your circadian rhythm gets messed up. If you've ever flown internationally, that does a whole different thing to your circadian rhythm because time zones can differ by 24 hours a day. And then like example, the drastic change can throw it off. I personally went to Florida this summer and they're like 3 hours ahead of us. And so when we were flying, it took me 2 or 3 days for my body clock to adjust, my circadian rhythm to adjust while I was there. And then when I flew back, it took another 2 or 3 days for me to readjust again. So like I said, and clocks are important because they tell you when to rest, when you're at your peak, and when you're, when to rest, when you're at your most active, and when you're getting ready to wake up. Now, this right here, my dears, is a sleep cycle chart. And if you've never seen one before, it basically tells you how many dreams you have a night, depending on the hours of sleep that you have, and how many different stages of sleep there are. Okay. And as you can see, if you see the REM right here, okay, we as human beings, our cycle, we dream every 90 minutes. Now, I know a few of you are like, hey, Ms. Valdez, I don't dream every 90 minutes. I don't even dream at all. Yes, you do. You just don't remember. You need to, as long as you have 90 minutes of sleep, you're going to dream. The problem is, though, is if you have a drug-induced sleep or like a sleep based on alcohol, which most of you should not because none of you are 21, it keeps your sleeping at a low level. Because if you know how a dreaming chart works, your deepest hour of sleep is the first hour of sleep. And as you go through the night, your sleep gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Your body is slowly waking up. So the first 90 minutes is the shortest dream of the night. It's usually about 5 to 10. And then another 90 minutes goes by. And then the time frame of your dream doubles. And then so on and so forth until the longest dream of the night is the last dream you had in that last 90-minute cycle. And the way, and this reflects to the brain because of the brain waves that you see on the EKG machine. Okay, you'll see a delta wave, which means you're in very, very deep sleep, a beta wave, and an alpha wave. And each of those waves means something different. The delta, you're in a deep sleep. You should not be dreaming at all. One wave means you're awake, and the other one means you're in the process of getting ready to dream. Now, the word REM, most people don't understand what that is, and I know it's not the group from the 80s or the 90s. It's actually referring to rapid eye movement, which should have been a key term for most of you. If any of you have an animal at home, or a dog or a cat, and you've ever noticed that when they're sleeping, that their eyeballs are kind of moving back and forth, well, that's when they're dreaming. Us, like human beings, have REM. When we dream, that's when we're in REM, rapid eye movement. Now, I wouldn't suggest you go do this to another, if you have a parent or someone at home that falls asleep and take a nap, I would not, because I've actually had students do this, which I told them when you're trying to give your parents a heart attack, but their dad or mom come home and they'll fall asleep on the couch, and the kid will go stand over them to try to catch their eyeballs moving back and forth every 90 minutes. And I'm like, dude, imagine if you wake up and there's a face right here. How freaky scary is that? You're going to jump and give somebody a heart attack. But the importance of this and why you need to learn about sleep cycle is because sleep is a necessary function. You are not going to be able to mentally or physically survive without sleep. It's like your brain is like a computer. If you don't shut off your computer and allow it to rest, what happens to it? Does it overheat? Does it have a meltdown? We're human beings, and our brain, which is the most important organ in our body because it controls so much stuff, needs that time to process the information of the day. I have something I can show you that'll actually help you. It's a chart that's a little bit better. And the next time we meet or talk, or I'll give you my email, I'll talk about it. I usually have my students make their own chart so they kind of understand and can see what I'm talking about as far as the beta, the delta, when you dream, when you're awake, when is your deepest hour, when is your lightest hour of sleep, because obviously your deepest hour of sleep is the first hour. So that means your lightest hour of sleep is, does anybody know? Waiting. Hopefully you see it. It's the last. Okay. So, like I said, the sleep cycle chart that you saw shows the sleep cycle happening and repeating every 90 minutes. And every 90 minutes, you're going to dream. And it's very sensitive to dark and light. How many of you cannot sleep unless it's like pitch black in your room? The slightest bit of light irritates you or makes you unable to sleep. Or you need darkness to tell you it's time to go to bed. And like I was telling before, even if you don't remember, you dream. Everybody dreams, and you have some crazy dreams. It's kind of hard sometimes to remember your dreams. I do encourage my students to do, when we're covering dreams and sleep, I encourage my students to do a dream journal for about 10 to 15 days. Now, literally, they're probably not going to be able to remember every dream of the night. But since you all have these beautiful things called cell phones, I used to tell the students, instead of keeping a pad and paper right by your bed, pull out your cell phone. It has a little recording device, right, where you can talk into it, right? So every morning when you wake up for like 10 to 15 days, right when you wake up, pull out your phone, which is usually where everybody has it, right by the side of their bed, and describe what happened in your dream. And then after like 10 or 12 days of recording your dreams, listen to them and find out if it's what Freud said is true about your dreams. And we're going to talk about the different theories regarding that today. Where do dreams come from? What makes a person dream? We're going to find out. But it's important to realize that your body needs rest. I know a lot of my AP students have like multiple AP classes. Does anybody, let me start a poll, create a poll. Does anyone have multiple AP classes? Answer. I have 2, 3, or 4. Okay. So if you can respond to that, I would really appreciate that, because I would really like to, I like to tell my students that I know you have a lot of AP classes, and if you're in high school and you're taking AP and then you're in extracurricular activities and you're in ASB, trying to balance everything, family, a job, all these things can create like where you're only on, the average student gets 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you know? And I'm like, you guys are growing. I mean, when you guys cover human development, you find out just how important sleep is during the teenage years. Why do you guys think you sleep in so late? But your body needs that rest. Your brain needs that rest to process the information of the day. So like I said, sleep deprivation is not a good thing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about where dreams come from and why do we dream. There are different theories about why we dream. The main theory, which is kind of cool, which I like to talk about and usually get students to take my psych class, is the Freud's idea of why we dream. He believed patients' inner thoughts and forbidden impulses could be found in a person's dream, hence the dream journal that I usually have most of my students take down. You yourself might want to try a dream journal, because you'd be amazed about how many insights you can get into your own things that are bothering your mind, that your unconscious desires. Have you ever had a dream that triggers a memory? Like something from an old childhood dream that brought up something really good, or even maybe something really bad. You have symbolic expressions in dreams. Like, what is the symbolism behind it? And that really relates to Freud. Because the common dreams are like the chasing dream, the falling dream where you fall and you wake up and you hit your bed, the naked in public dream where you go to school and you don't have any clothes on. Either you're the only one that knows that, or everybody else knows, but you don't realize it. Or even where you're talking in the middle of your dream and your teeth fall out. A lot of people have those dreams, and they're very, very symbolic. And I'll give you an example. Have any of you had the chasing dream? I have one person watching, so that's why I'm asking. When I got chased, when I was in high school, and I used to have a bunch of chasing dreams, my chaser looked like Michael Myers and carried a chainsaw. And the way you solve a chasing dream is you're supposed to turn around and face your chaser and say, "What's up? What do you want? Why are you chasing me?" Right? And I'm like, easier said than done when yours look like Michael Myers with a chainsaw. But here's the hidden meaning about the chasing dream. Okay. So what are you afraid to face in real life that you're running away from? Especially if you having the same dream. You have the dream, you're being chased. It's the same theme in your dream. It's a different person chasing you every night. If you're constantly dreaming that, there's something that you don't want to face, that you're afraid to face. So you keep running away from it. Hence the symbolism in your dreaming. And then you have the whole theory about dreams being able to predict the future. And when they talk about dreams being able to predict the future, it's kind of cool because I want you to think, anybody, they're AP Lit or they're AP Lang, Shakespeare, right? Watch this. Have any of you heard the term, beware of the Ides of March? Does anybody remember where that comes from when it comes to Shakespeare? Beware of the Ides of March. I'm waiting to see if anybody responds, but do you remember when Caesar was killed, right? And his wife was constantly having dreams telling him they're going to kill you. Beware, my dreams are telling me, beware of the Ides of March. Hello. So you have that. You also have the other thing, historically speaking, if any of you have had a push, right? And you know about Lincoln being assassinated, right? Well, did you know that his wife, who was believed to have a nervous condition, right? She had a nervous condition for months ahead of the Ford Theater, had nightmares that someone was trying to kill her husband and didn't want her husband to go out. And look what ended up happening. So dreams are still a big mystery. We have an idea about where they come from, but but you do need to dream. Everybody dreams. And the irony is some of us even dream in black and white. Does anybody out there dream in black and white? Because that's trippy. Or do you dream in another language? Because that means something too. Okay, so what is the content of our dreams? Well, most of us dream about they don't have to be crazy. If you play a lot of video games, I'm pretty sure you've had that dream where it goes into one game after another. But we usually dream about ordinary events that happen to us every day. Like I use the example of the picture in the PowerPoint of school, work, playing a sport, people from our daily lives. And most of the people that appear in our dreams are people we know, even just faces in the crowd. And then when you have those really weird dreams, and I have the dream catcher right there because, you hope that dream catchers catch positive dreams. That where it's just all this crazy stuff going on. And 1 minute you're on the beach and the next minute you're at a house and the next second you're in a building. And it's like the background changes, and where do those dreams come from? And it's believed that it's from just random firing of neurons going on while you're sleeping. Why do we dream though? And this is where the dream theories come into play. We have the activation synthesis theory, which is the most popular theory, and to me, it makes the most sense. It's your brain's attempt to process all the info of the day. And remember what I said, your brain needs to rest because it's like a computer. It needs to process all the information of the day. So have you ever had a dream about just this random person, right? And the random person is like the best friend. It's like a face in the crowd that you see every day, and you don't know them from Adam, but all of a sudden in your dream, right? They're like your best friend. They're like your life partner. And you're like, where the heck did this come from? I don't even know this person, but they're just a face in the crowd, right? It's because your brain is making an attempt to process all the information of the day. So it's just an image that they're throwing into your dream. So that's what they mean by activation synthesis, the dream theory, where your brain attempts to process all the information. So it throws them into a jumble and it tells a story. To me, that kind of makes the most sense sometimes, especially when you have those really weird dreams where you're like, I don't know this person. This is a face that I've seen every day. Why are they like my life partner in my dream? It's like, they're very strange. That one, but that makes the most sense. But like as I said, because your brain needs to process the information of the day, it's a necessary physiological function. I mean, think like this for my multiple AP takers in the room that have 3 or 4 classes. What is it like when you only have an hour of sleep the next day at school? What's it like? Are you attentive? Or have you ever noticed that you kind of you see and you hear things? Yeah, you feel very tired. But like you hear things that sometimes aren't there because your brain needs that. It needs that rest. Most teenagers, honestly, should get at the minimum of 6 hours of sleep at night. But I bet you most of you are only getting like 4 to 5. Who gets 4 to 5 hours of sleep? My students complain that that's all they get because of all the classes that they took. But it's a necessary function. And taking a sleeping pill does not help, because when you take a sleeping pill, you remember that chart I showed you going all the way back to this? Hold on. Do you remember this chart? When you take a sleeping pill, it keeps you down here because it's an unnatural sleep. So you're not going to go through the sleep cycle, which is what your brain needs, REM, to process the information of the day. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's why it's not good to take like pills that put you to sleep, because you need the REM. That's the part that your brain needs to, for that during that rest. Let me go back. Okay, one back. All right. So we have activation synthesis, necessary physiological function, and because we need the REM sleep. Like I said, your brain needs it. You can't live without REM. And if you try, trust me, for those of you that have ever been sleep deprived, you will hear voices and see things. I know a few of my students have been, Ms. Valdez, I need some sleep. And I'm like, take a rest, take a nap. I said, because I'd rather you, be at your best. And it's really important to get the sleep. And that's why you drink that REM sleep is necessary. And then you got Freud with his latent and manifest content, which is that whole idea of your dreams being a mirror into, your unconscious, being able to see those thoughts and feelings that you don't really want to admit to having, like the chasing dream, like the falling dream and waking up and hitting your bed, like the teeth falling out dream. Or heck, even the naked in public dream. I mean, put it this way. Okay, clothes, right? Clothes keep you warm. They cover you and they conceal you, right? Now watch this. If you don't have any clothes on, people can see right through you and you can't hide anything. So I want you to think, if you're one of those people that's been having those dreams, what is it you don't want people to see? Because that could be part of the whole Freud and latent manifest content. I mean, there are so many different theories about why we dream, and pretty much all of them will fit at least one dream or another when you have them. That's why doing that dream journal is really will help you understand the dream process more. Like I said, it's a symbolic expression of our unconscious conflict. I mean, I've had some trippy dreams myself. My husband told me one time I even talked in my sleep. And it was funny too, because he said I was talking to my class and teaching class. And then he started talking to me back, and it was hilarious. So then we have the different types of dreams we can have. And we can have nightmares. You see my Freddy Krueger, because I'm a really big horror fan, or night terror. Now, there are two different types of dreams. The key thing to understand is the difference between a nightmare and a night terror. And I'm going to go back to the chart because you really have to understand what the difference between the two, okay? A nightmare is a frightening dream that happens infrequently. It happens during REM, okay? Everybody has a bad dream. We've all had bad dreams, okay? But it's normal to have nightmares. Night terrors, have any of you ever had an incubus attack? If you don't know what an incubus attack means, have you ever had sleep paralysis where you woke up and it was almost as if someone was standing over you and you couldn't move? Usually when that happens, it's because your body, the bottom part of your body is still asleep and you're in between being awake and asleep. And for some reason, you accidentally become conscious for like a couple of seconds and you're in the middle of a dream and you wake up, but you're not fully awake because the rest of your body's asleep. So obviously you can't move. I mean, think about when your leg's asleep and how it feels, right? And so it's scary. And all of a sudden you'll see an image because you're in between dreaming. And that's when that's when that can happen because you're not in REM. And let me explain what I mean by that. Okay. So I got to go back to the chart. Hold on. Okay. So this is stage 4, right? Right here, stage 3, stage 2. When we're up here in stage 2, that's when dreaming takes place, right in here. Okay, that's when it's okay for us to have a nightmare or dream. Okay, because when we're afraid in our dream, our heart's going to beat rapidly, and our bodies, if you look, our body's almost awake. It's about a couple of being awake is right here at number 1. You're awake. We're all the way up here. Okay, so our body's almost awake. So when our heart starts to beat from fear because we're dreaming, our bodies we're not going to have a physical reaction. When we have a night terrors happen in NREM, which is down here, and your body's still asleep. How do you know if you had a nightmare or a night terror? Well, here's the kicker, and this is how you know. Have you ever woken up crying or felt like your heart was going to come out of your chest and it was beating so fast? And you felt like someone was choking you? That's a night terror. The reason why you feel like that is your body's having a physical reaction to the dream because down here, your body's asleep. So it's not prepared for your heart to be beating fast, for you to be having all these emotions and having these physical reactions. So that's why you wake up, like you almost want to jump out of the bed and like someone's choking you and it's hard to breathe and your heart feels like it's pounding or you're crying and you're really upset. That's a night terror. And night terrors only happen down here. Nightmares happen up here. Okay, so as I was saying, nightmares, and notice I used Freddy Krueger for Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmares happen, but sometimes, watch this, we can go what they call REM rebound. And REM rebound happens from sleep deprivation, a lack of unnatural sleep patterns. You haven't had any good rest for a while. It's like, have you ever had where you went to sleep and you had this nightmare that you just couldn't wake up from it? It just kept going on and on and on, and you couldn't get out of it. You felt like trapped in it. Like no matter what, you kept telling yourself, wake up, and it wouldn't wake up. It's because your body's making up for the sleep cycle that you missed, for the unnatural sleep that you had. So it's got to make up for it by having REM rebound. So you don't have the 90-minute cycle like normal person does. It's just one dream on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. And that's how REM rebound can happen. And most of the time, like I said, it's from sleep deprivation or too much alcohol, which none of you should have any access to because none of you are over 21 yet. And as I was saying, the night terror thing, which is a horrible dream that occurs during NREM, and it's known as an incubus attack. And the reason why you have that physical overload and that physical reaction where you feel like you're going to vomit or you're going to throw up or your heart's coming out of your chest is because your body in such deep sleep, it's not prepared for the physical reaction you're having to the dream you're having, if that makes sense. The key thing is that nightmares happen during REM and night terrors happen during NREM. Be cool? All right, I'm going to go to almost the end because we've gone over why we dream, the importance of sleep cycle and circadian rhythm. We've gone over nightmares and night terrors, the theories of dreaming. And so now we're going to move on to, which I like to kind of teach about. Hold on just a second. Let me pull it up because I still do not have the hang of this. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hold on. Okay. Sleep disorders. So most of my students suffer from this. They're either on YouTube all night or they're playing video games all night until they're almost exhausted and they can't get any sleep. Do any of you have problems sleeping? Most of the time, the sleep, you can count sheep, try different music to listen to, absolute silence. But insomnia is considered a sleep disorder. It can drive a person not good and mad because, like I said, REM is a necessary physical need for your brain, and lack of sleep will hurt you a lot, mentally and physically. That's one. Then the other two popular ones, sleep apnea. The way you can recognize sleep apnea is snoring. Anybody have a parent? I know I snore. At least that's what my kids tell me. Anybody out there have a parent that snores? Or a member of their family that snores? It's a disorder in which a person will stop breathing during sleep and wake up because of it. That's why they're making the sound. The picture you see right there is one of the many ways in which you can treat sleep apnea. It's really funny, actually. But I mean, I've never tried it personally. But, everybody's different. And then my favorite, which I don't know if any of you recognize the picture, that's Mr. Bean. Okay. And he's from the movie Rat Race. And that is narcolepsy. Now, that one's a trippy disorder because people who suffer from narcolepsy, they do not have normal REM cycles every 90 minutes. They will actually go into uncontrollable sleep lapsing, instant REM at any given moment. And, that's a picture from the movie Rat Race. And in the movie Rat Race, Mr. Bean plays a character who suffers from narcolepsy. And he just, in any second, can sleep. People who suffer from narcolepsy cannot get a driver's license. Can anybody tell me why? Okay. I'm going to assume you all realize that the person can do what while they're driving? Fall asleep. So we have sleep apnea, narcolepsy, and insomnia. Those are the three main sleep disorders.